good afternoon to everyone else. It is Saturday, and as promised, we are here to do another new tapes. So if you joined me last time, welcome back. So grateful to have you back here in this space. If you're tuning in for the first time, thanks for being here. I'm excited to have you. Just a quick recap of what I do here in New Tapes. This is a sort of gentle group hypnosis practice that I put together once a month, correlating with the new moon. We talk a little bit about the astrology surrounding the new moon, what the themes are that we are working on. Yay! The themes that we are working through, and I'm sure that plenty of us are working through plenty of themes right now. So we talk a bit about the astrology around this new moon, which is happening on Monday. And then based on what we kind of establish to be the themes, we go through a short, gentle hypnosis practice. So you may have seen this worksheet that I showed us last time. This can be helpful for doing this work. It's just like very straightforward and very simple. But basically, while we're talking about the themes pertaining to this time, we're filling out our word bank together. So whatever we are talking about that really stands out to you, that seems relevant to your current experience, that can go right there in the word bank. From there, we fill out the next 3 sections, thinking about what it is we're ready to let go of, what our peaceful place is, where we'll be starting, and then ultimately what we stand to gain by moving through this work. So doing this every month gives us a nice opportunity to kind of keep track of our progress month to month, just kind of see how this practice impacts our day-to-day lives, and gives us a nice little moment to just kind of tune in together in the midst of everything crazy and wild and destabilizing. So if you have this worksheet, awesome. If you want this worksheet, it's on my website and it's free. And basically you download a PDF and you can print it out as many times as you like. You can keep these, keep track of sort of the different cycles you move through. I'm a nerd, so I really like that. And if you like that, then perfect, awesome. So let's talk about this new moon. You probably know that we are in between eclipses right now. It's been really crazy, tumultuous, depressing. It's been a lot. You may have felt a sort of vacuum moving through part of your life and kind of pulling away things that you don't need anymore, that you thought you needed, that you don't need anymore, and the universe is just kind of like, you let me do my work. So it's definitely been a trying time. I think we're ready for this year to end, absolutely, and this upcoming eclipse is a really great way to kind of honor that, celebrate that. We can acknowledge that we're frustrated. I think many of us have probably seen some stories come up that we no longer want to hold on to, that we may be very frustrated by. Yeah, right? Like, I think we're all in some sort of place of maybe feeling like a broken record in some ways, feeling like this is so old and I don't want this anymore and I'm just ready to let it go. So that's what this is. This is sort of inviting the universe to do its work and sort of surrendering to these patterns being ready to end. So that's definitely what we've been working with kind of all month, all Sagittarius season. It will continue until New Year's. Venus will hit the South Node in Sagittarius. So lots of stuff from the past is coming up that we are just like, goodbye, see you later. Okay, but also, can I sleep now? So adding to this energy that we're sort of feeling culminate at the new moon is that Chiron is also stationing direct the next day. So the day after the eclipse, Tuesday, Chiron stations direct, and that's been retrograde since summer. And so we've probably had lots of old wounds come up also. So these past stories, these narratives that we no longer identify with, are coming up for a review, but also since summer we've been sort of feeling very tender. Wherever our Chiron is for us personally has been sort of triggered. And so with Chiron stationing direct, there's an opportunity to finally get a look at what those triggers are and begin to move through them rather than just feeling weighed down by them. So that can be a really nice big cathartic process for us. So ultimately next week is going to be intense. We're probably going to want to rest as much as possible, and I encourage that. But also it's just good to know that we're releasing so much. We're releasing so many things that are clearing a path towards the newness that we feel kind of desperate to step into. So if you're feeling that, please know that it is totally okay. You are not alone. We're all kind of going through this right now, and hopefully this can be a really nice space to just sort of like hold space for those feelings and to say, I acknowledge you, I feel you, I know that I'm working through you, and I'm inviting myself to really, be gentle. So that's what we'll do today. All of my notes on, there aren't a whole lot of transits happening around the moon, which is both nice and also intense, because one of them that is happening is that Mercury is hitting the south node at this eclipse. The sun hit the south node just a couple days ago. I believe that was Thursday. And like I mentioned before, Venus will be hitting it again on New Year's Eve. So lots of things from the past coming up with Mercury hitting the south node. It can definitely be about our ideas or our thinking patterns, how we communicate, what stories we tell, what stories we tell ourselves, what stories and ideas we've believed in that don't belong to us anymore. Maybe they came to us from a larger collective story that we identified with that we no longer identify with. That's okay. But it does certainly sort of hit a sensitive point of, oh, I'm seeing this now. Okay. There's also, though, a trine between Mercury and Mars. So even though Mercury is hitting the south node and we're maybe becoming aware of some thinking patterns that we're not fond of anymore, or that we're maybe like suffocating inside of, this trine to Mars, which is now gaining speed from leaving retrograde a few weeks ago, is kind of offering us this opportunity to upgrade our actions. So where we're recognizing something from the past is ready to be parted with, Mars comes in and offers us this opportunity to really consciously think about what our actions will be coming out of this phase. So I think that that's really supportive of this release that we are encountering. But since it's a Sagittarian new moon, we should talk about some traditional themes of Sagittarius, and you may identify within this list some things that really stand out to you, some things that you feel called to change recently, or where you sense that stories are changing for you. So in Sagittarius, we are usually talking about philosophies, religions, and beliefs. We're talking about broader travel, long-term travel, and other cultures. We're talking about faith and optimism, and I think that's a really big one right now. We're also talking about study and how we share big ideas. Who do we share those big ideas with? What groups do we identify with? We're looking at meaning and impact. What sort of, when we talk about stories impact us. That's why we tell them. So what kind of impact am I having in my life? What actions, what kind of impact are my actions creating? And also, lastly, gratitude and blessings, I think, is a big one to think about right now. And Sagittarius is also where dreams happen. So what are your dreams? And where have old dreams fallen away? And how are they clearing space for new dreams? The phrase that I highlighted for this particular lunation is new narratives. So if we're letting go of old stories, we are freeing up space to imagine and to dream of what we want to be next and where we want to go. So we also have Venus sextiling Jupiter in this lunation, and that's a really nice little gentle bonus, just a really nice here you go. It helps us connect with others. So it may be that in letting go of old stories, which brings up lots of feelings and lots of, we're parting with an identity, right? And that's not the easiest thing to do alone. And so Venus sextiling Jupiter invites us and allows us to bond with others through this process. So it may be that we're recognizing something old that we need to move through and let go of, but that we're able to connect with each other as we move through changes. And we can maybe even be coming up with what the next story is together. We've been learning so much about listening to each other this year with the North Node in Gemini and Venus retrograding through Gemini, and just like getting back to that place of peership. And I think that this aspect really supports that idea. So like I said before, the next day is when Chiron stations direct, and Venus also sextiles Saturn at 29 degrees, and both of those planets are preparing to move out of these signs. So that's a really critical type of energy. Venus sextiling Saturn is sort of asking us to step into the responsibility of creating the changes that we see for ourselves, being willing to take on the work to tend to these wounds that need healing. As Chiron is stationing direct, we're saying, okay, I've seen what hurts me, I've seen what needs to change, and it's really critical that I commit to this and that I take on this work, and I'm willing to do it, I'm happy to do it. Venus is about to move into Sagittarius, and as you know, Saturn's about to move out of Capricorn finally. So this is a really big moment. I believe that this is Saturn's final aspect, final conversation before this shift into Aquarius. So this is a big ask, but it's also a really big moment for us to change things, to really say, okay, Saturn's been in Capricorn for 3 years, kicking our ass, tearing apart capitalism, tearing apart and exposing to us how we are bound to systems that oppress us. What is Saturn asking us to do in this final moment? It's appreciate this. It's take this on. It's find the value in this. And then let's get to work. So, yay. All right, so if you're working with your worksheet, I hope that you've been filling out your word bank. If you're not working with a worksheet, I hope you've been just keeping track of what in everything I just discussed kind of points out to you about the changes that you feel called to make and the old stories that you feel called to let go of. And so now we can kind of start filling out the rest of the sheet. So any keywords that you collected during that astro discussion, I'd love for you to consider those things that stood out to you and apply them to the rest of what we're going to do. So next is the change box, and this is where we start identifying what we're ready to let go of, what sort of changes we are inviting in, what stories, feelings, or tangible entities are you feeling ready to move on from, and where do you feel this need to change within your body? I think that's important too. Identifying where we feel these things physically can definitely help us as we move through trance. We can identify where in our body we want to invite more healing. So I want to give you a minute to go ahead and write out a few things in your change box or in your notebook, wherever you are, or in your head. Go ahead, do you. But I just want to give you a moment to kind of write out what, and I'll read these questions again. What are you ready to let go of? What stories, feelings, or tangible entities are you feeling ready to move on from? And where do you feel this need for change within your body? I'm going to give y'all a minute to go ahead and do that. And I'm going to play with my worksheets. I love them so much, you guys. I never thought I would love a worksheet. All right, so the change box. Things we're ready to let go of, what we feel called to release, and ultimately just what is done. What's done? What are you done with? I mean, we're done with so many things, so I really invite you to just let it out. And after this, we're going to start thinking about our peaceful place. So, in the second box here, or if you'd like to draw yourself a column, feeling nerdy, is the peaceful place. So, the peaceful place is where we start in our trance, and so it's really important to take a moment here to think about where, ideally out in nature, is a place where, and it can be real or imagined, but where you feel in touch with yourself, in touch with the elements, at peace, an outside nature space that makes you feel good, where you can rejuvenate. And again, it can be real or imagined. It can be a place you've never been before, where you've always wanted to go. There are no limits, because ultimately this is for you. This is what you want. So do it up. If it's the desert, great. Write down all of the details of what this space is like for you. What time of day is it? What is the air like? What does the ground feel like? Are there sounds around you? Again, this is your imagination. So if it's real, then go ahead and write about the favorite time you've been to this place. And if it's imagined, then make it ideal. Go for it. It's for you. It's your space. So I'll give you a minute to fill that out, but just to refresh, it's our peaceful place, ideally somewhere in nature. If you are returning, thank you. Thanks for being here. I'm so excited. If you came last time and you used a peaceful place then, and you want to keep that peaceful place, please do. It's absolutely yours. If you want to explore a different peaceful place, that is also totally your call. Just a place where you can be refreshed, rejuvenated, brought back into nature. I'll give you a few moments to do that while I drink my mustache coffee. Okay. And then lastly, we have our payoff box. So this is the gold at the end of the rainbow. And since this is an eclipse, it may not be anything tangible yet that we know that we want, and that's perfectly normal and fine. If anything, I would, for this particular trance and this worksheet, release expectations, because the nature of eclipses is that we don't know. We can't see. Like, we literally can't see what's happening. And so it's totally okay to be more abstract this time. Taking a moment to just think about, like, how am I going to feel after this? Like, how would I like to feel? What sort of emotions would I like to be embodying? If I step through this portal, like, what stories could I give life to? What, perhaps what I never thought was possible for me. Maybe I'm gonna start just imagining some things that could happen. It's a big portal, you guys. But it's really just how you want to see yourself feeling and doing well. As you shed these old things, maybe you could start creating space for faith for the stories that you never thought you could embody. Or as you release old stories about what you didn't think you could have, maybe you're in your wildest dreams, you start thinking about, maybe I could be this person. Maybe I could try this thing. Maybe this is my story and I've just been denying myself. Don't deny yourself. All right, so go ahead and take a few more seconds to finish that up. We're just creating space. And that's it. We're just creating space. Okay, so if you're done with your worksheet, go ahead and just look it over. If you're not, go ahead and take a few more seconds to finish that up. And when you're ready, I'm just going to give you a minute to get comfortable if you're not already comfortable. This is not a full one-on-one hypnosis trance, so there's no real danger of anyone falling asleep. But getting in a place where you can get as comfortable as possible and fully relax your body is ideal. But again, everyone's space is different, and go ahead and take a moment to just get yourself set up. I'm so excited. Thanks for being here, y'all. This is very rewarding and fun. All right. Y'all are getting set up. I have some bells that I'm going to start playing too that are going to help us hopefully kind of tune more deeply into our relaxation. And my computer went to sleep, so while you get set up, I'll do this. Okay. All right, so I'm hoping everyone's ready. And to start, we'll just begin with a few rounds of deep breath together. Just breathing in as deeply as you can, and then releasing that breath twice as long as you took it in. And we'll just do a couple rounds of this together, just putting ourselves in the place of preparing for trance. So we're just letting our breath completely fill our lungs, and then releasing it twice as slowly as we took it in. And we can do that one more time together. And maybe you can think about sending this breath all the way to your fingertips and to your toes, and then slowly letting it back out. Okay, so to start, we're going to choose a focal point to begin our journey. And if you were here last time, awesome, you're a little more comfortable with this. If not, then I like to usually start with the back of my hand, sort of classic hypnosis. But you are free to choose whatever point in the room surrounding you that feels comfortable. So if there's a piece of art or a plant on your dresser, on your wall, if there's anything that sort of naturally draws your eye, that can help bring you into a neutral space, then go ahead and select that focal point. And once you've chosen your point, we're just going to allow our eyes to completely rest on this object and allow everything in the periphery to fade into the background. So as we're continuing to breathe nice and slowly, we are, again, settling our eyes and our focus on this one point and just allowing everything else in the background to fade into nothing. You're just focusing on this point. And just keep looking at this point and continue breathing, and allow your focus to pull you inward as you breathe, as this focal point becomes more and more of what you're looking at, and you're allowing everything else to fade away into the background. Just allow your focus to travel inward. And as the rest of your environment is falling away and fading into the background, just allow yourself to feel your conscious and your unconscious mind working together as they begin to guide you further and further inward. If your mind begins wandering, just bring it back by focusing on your breathing. As your focus continues to take you even more deeply inward, just trust that your mind and your body know exactly how to work together at this time. And just allow yourself to relax and to release. And when you feel ready, when you feel released and relaxed, you can let your eyes gently close. And now just take a moment to identify where in your body you feel confidence. And when you've done so, just allow yourself to experience that feeling for a moment. And now from that place of confidence, begin identifying any tension that's present in your body. And maybe you can imagine that with each breath out, that tension is invited to flow out of you. Perhaps you even feel it draining out of you, starting at the crown of your head and moving down your body and gently draining through the soles of your feet. Maybe you can even see this substance as it's draining you. Perhaps it has a color, or it's made of several colors. And just take a moment to observe this as it happens, however that makes sense in your mind right now. In a moment, I will count us down from 5 to 1, and we'll travel even more deeply within, trusting that our minds and our bodies know exactly how to work together at this time. 5, releasing any tension in your eyes and in your jaw. 4, releasing any tension in your neck and your shoulders. 3, allowing your arms to grow heavy, perhaps like marble. 2, just breathing, relaxing and releasing. And 1, letting go and just allowing yourself to travel even more deeply now. And now just begin to arrive at your peaceful place that you described, that you wrote out for yourself or dreamt up for yourself. And just take a few moments to fully immerse yourself in this space. Take a moment to consider what time of day it is, what the ground feels like beneath you, what the air feels like, if there's a breeze, if there's sunlight, if there's moonlight, if there's any animals around, any smells or sounds or other sights that you may see. Just taking a moment to take all of this in and allow yourself to just fully engage with this space. And in a moment, I will count us down again, and we'll feel ourselves travel up into the ultra height. 3, feeling yourself begin to rise. 2, rising even higher still. And 1, fully elevated above yourself now, in the present moment, in your peaceful place. And just take a moment to look down at yourself in this present moment, in this peaceful place. See yourself now and consider what this self may need. It can be courage, it can be love, appreciation, determination, it can be resolve to get through this time that is trying. Whatever it is that you sense that yourself needs now, send it down to yourself. And when you've done that, send even more. It's okay, send more. And just take a moment to feel yourself receiving this resource and just experience how that makes you feel for a moment. And now, let's bring our attention to the ultra height, which is this timeline of divine light and energy that we are traveling down. Just feel yourself integrate into this light and allow it to facilitate travel into the future. And just take a moment arriving at yourself several months into the future, feeling transformed and renewed. And consider the items in your payoff box. And perhaps visualize yourself having released some of these old cycles, these old stories, and fully embodying new lightness and clarity. Just spend a moment observing yourself doing and feeling well. And when you have a sense of that, ask what you admire about your future self from this present moment. If you want, you can vocalize that out loud to yourself, if possible. In a moment, I will count us down from 3 to 1, and we will visit this future self. 3, floating downward. 2, lowering to your future self. And 1, fully stepping into that future self now. Spend a moment fully embodying that future self, feeling good, doing well, feeling stable, however that makes sense in your mind. And take a moment to view your present self through the eyes of your future self. And if you're able and you feel comfortable, you can verbalize to yourself what this present self admires about this future self. And what you appreciate about this future self. And what your future self appreciates about your present self. And just allow yourself to receive this appreciation. And perhaps you can feel your present and future selves beginning to work together now. Now I will count us down to rise back up to the ultra height. 3, present and future self working together and rising up. 2, rising up even higher now. And 1, arriving back at our timeline of light and energy. And take one more look down at yourself and spend a moment considering 3 things that you are proud of yourself for. And now, fully immersed back into the ultra height, allow yourself to intuitively travel once more along the timeline, intuitively traveling now to the past. Consider now your change box and travel intuitively to a time when you were hindered by an old way of being and you missed out on an opportunity for growth. Traveling back to a time when an old story kept you from inhabiting a self that you wanted to be. And now I will count us down to visit this past self. 3, slowly approaching this past self. 2, gently floating and approaching. And 1, floating above this moment in the past. Just take a moment to observe yourself in this moment, in the past, and consider what resources that past self needed in that moment, in that old story. And when you've considered what those resources may be, send those resources down to your past self, and just spend a moment feeling them receiving it. And just experience that feeling for a moment. And 3, floating down into this moment now. 2, even closer. And 1, fully stepping into this moment in the past. Take a moment to see your past self through the eyes of your present self. What does your present self appreciate about that past self? If you're able or comfortable, you can verbalize this to yourself and just feel yourself receiving this appreciation. Consider what this gives you now and how it makes you feel. Now feel yourself integrating this experience as we travel back up to our divine ultra height of light and energy. 3, past, present, and future self collaborating together as we rise. 2, rising even higher now. And 1, fully returned and integrated into the ultra height. Allow yourself to intuitively travel through the timeline back to the present moment with these new resources. Are you feeling ready to integrate this updated set of resources? When you've arrived at yourself in the present moment, look down at yourself in the peaceful place In a moment, I will count us down to reintegrate into ourselves in the peaceful place. 3, lowering down into the present moment in the peaceful place. 2, feeling these new resources integrate. And 1, stepping back into yourself in the present moment in the peaceful place. And when you've fully stepped into your peaceful place once more, spend a final moment here for today. And remember that this space and this peace and restoration are available to you at all times. Take in your surroundings. Take a deep breath of the air around you in this space. And feel these resources fully integrate, remembering that new cells are being generated every day to facilitate healing. And in a moment, I will count us out of the peaceful place and out of today's trance, back into the present moment, into our bodies, and into the day ahead. 3, saying goodbye to the peaceful place for now. 2, traveling now to our present self. And 1, fully returned into our present selves in this present moment. Just take a moment to process this traveling and work that we've done today. And when you feel ready, you can allow your eyes to gently flutter open. All right. I hope that was restorative and peaceful for you. I'm so grateful for y'all tuning in and being present and traveling with me today. If you have any revelations that you'd like to share, you can absolutely talk to me. If you have questions about hypnosis and my practice, please reach out. And if you'd like to schedule something one-on-one, I would love to work with you. All of my links are in my bio. And if you feel compelled to donate for today's session, my Venmo is the same as my handle here. It's That's So Pisces. And I appreciate anything and everything. And I encourage everyone to just rest and take the next week being really gentle with yourselves, being as present as you can, but as kind as you can, absolutely. And, I encourage anyone to journal about this or to spend some time just reflecting on anything that came up for you. And yeah, just be gentle. We're almost through the eclipse season, so be nice to yourselves. And I love y'all. Thank you for being here, and we'll do this again. Oh my gosh, it'll be the new year. Wow. Yay, I'm so glad. Thank you so much for being here. This is so fun, and it's really an honor to share this space with y'all. So I'm just very grateful for you being here. Thank you. See you in a month. See you on Monday for Astro Squad, and see you in a month for the Capricorn, the Capricorn new moon. That's going to be a good one. All right. Have a beautiful day and eclipse and rest, y'all.